love that. This is a perfect segue to our bonus question. So was there a time you decided to just go for what you needed in order to feel whole? So we want to know you a little bit more. Don't be shy. Really jump in here. This is about, sometimes we have these structured conversations, but this is the part of the conversation you can, no more structure here. You can just jump in and share.
Since you said, oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, thanks. Since we're talking about adulting 101, I will be first to admit that adulting was hard for me. And I was late. I was tardy to the party. And at some point, my whole family held an intervention, and basically everyone got together and said, you need to go back to school. You need to get it together. And my response was, you're right, but this time I'm doing it my way. I'm getting a degree in what I want instead of trying to get a degree in something that everyone tells me I should get a degree in because there's money attached to it. I'm just gonna get a degree in something that I find fulfilling. And my dream is to live overseas. So the minute I get that degree, I'm out of here. And I got my degree in marketing, and then a month later, I was on a plane to New Zealand. I thought, well, I'm 40 years old at the time. If I don't leave the country now, I'm never getting out of here. I got a round trip ticket and said, I'll see you guys later. My family was horrified because I'd never been to New Zealand. And I'm like, but I'm gonna go live. I'm out of here. And 7 years later, I found my way back to the States, but I came back a completely different person because I had really taken control of me and, discovered who I was out there in a place where nobody knew me. So there was no baggage. I got to land and create exactly who I thought I should be, not who everyone else thought I should.
Absolutely love that, Tyrone. And Kashana, since you mentioned the thing, what were you shy of, right? My big shyness was, in fact, shyness. So until I was 22, until I finished my bachelor's degree, really, I was ridiculously shy. I was afraid to, talk even in front of my family and tell a story to my best friends. In fact, when I graduated from university back then, I had made exactly 2 friends. And I left America, I went back to Europe, where I'm from. And I was really reflecting on my life, and I realized how much it was costing me, this inner shy self, this afraid self that was, so worried about opening up, so worried about having a deep conversation, so worried about even, going to a random stranger and saying hi. And so what changed my life there really was fully embracing the fact that that was a conditioned self. That, I wasn't born shy, because as a young little child, I was super excited. And that I'd simply been conditioned over, throughout middle school and high school to become this shy version. And what really helped me break out of that was really looking at exactly the opposite. Meaning I went to Italy at the time for 2 months, and every person I saw on the street, I would just come and say hi, right? And over and over and over again, I'd start with, what's the time and where's the best restaurant? And can I play football with you, right? And over time, what I learned was that this shy inner self wasn't my actual self. And the fact was that really inside of me, there was this incredibly extroverted self that loved nothing more than talking to people, meeting random strangers wherever I go in the world. But it was really by deliberately really choosing that who I was at the time wasn't my real self, that's not who I wanted to be for the rest of my life, and that there was another inner self that I wanted to feed instead.
Awesome.
So firstly, I love this question, and I did some thinking around this, but the thing that comes through me right now is different. So I'm just going to read out the question, which is, was there a time you decided to just go for what you needed to feel whole? And so to my mind, what comes right now is wholeness, right? What do we define as wholeness of self? Because, we're at a time in humanity where we're really forced to confront something that maybe or maybe not we've thought in a while, which is our own mortality. And we've been forced to think about what death is of our family or friends, but also ourselves. And so when my mom, passed away, and maybe this is useful to someone who's listening who has come across something like that. Maybe you've lost somebody in your life. But the usual assumption, or maybe the subconscious assumption, is that when somebody passes away, you feel extremely sad, or there's a grief process and you can't cope with it, right? And that's very natural. But to me, what I needed to feel whole was my background and understanding of yoga and Vedanta. And if you read the Vedanta, it encourages you to explore who your true self is. And then you realize through introspection is that you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts, you're not your memories, you're not the other person, although you can feel close to the person. Who you are essentially is the observer and the witness consciousness. And if you just be the witness, you will be whole and you will be yourself. And so that helped me to, in a way, a little bit detach from what I'm experiencing. So that is one. But also I did some reframing. I love the word reframing that we're talking about today. Reframing what I went through and what my mom has gone through as well. From one perspective, you would feel that, she's expired and now she's gone, right? Her life has ended and now she has ceased to exist. But the way I see it, and the way I've come across it through conversations, is that this is not the end. Her soul is eternal and infinite. And the metaphor that I like to draw is we're all in a yoga retreat. We're all doing shavasana, and shavasana literally means corpse pose. And we're having this beautiful collective dream. We're sharing this collective dream, having fun and having these blissful moments. And my mom, or whoever has passed away, has woken up from this deep slumber and has gone to the other room to have some coffee or to make some coffee. And we are all looking at each other and wondering, where is she gone? But just like in our dreams, when we dream, we really feel like we're dreaming. There's no shadow of a doubt. So in the same way, once everyone is going to get an opportunity to experience death at some point, we will realize that, this was a beautiful, beautiful dream. And it's really helped me, this perspective, this reframe, to feel whole and continue my journey, my projects, my visions, my goals, because my mom would have wanted me not to stop, not to take a break, not to feel even more down or go into sadness or stress or depression, but to, go to the next level, so to speak, and be that healer that people need to experience more bliss, more happiness, and more joy. So that is what I've done to, feel my full self, to realize that I'm the witness consciousness, but also to reframe what we understand as death. It's not the end, but it's just the beginning. So
I love that. It's so powerful. And I know we're going to start to wrap up, but I thought this would be this kind of came to my mind with the shares. And so I wondered if each of you can think for a moment of a man that you know, or who's in your life, or that you know of, maybe even that you used to know. And if there was a self that you saw in him that inspired you or touched you, you don't have to share, but I just thought that this could be such an interesting twist. Could you just say maybe one sentence to that man about how that impacted your life?
I'll start. So my father was a dancer, and I'm a dancer. And so I would say to my father, thank you for the gift of showing me dancing. And by dancing, I mean moving in the wind. I do not necessarily mean ballet, but I could as I move in the wind. So that's a self my father fully embodied. And I even had a friend who used to imitate my father, which I'll do right now. So if he was at a party, he just danced with everyone. So this is my friend imitating my father. He'd take your hand, whirl you about, and then move you off, and then go do it to the next person. And so that joy that he had, I want to thank that man in my life for that.
That's interesting, because I think about my father, and it's it's that concept of, I guess, if you're in it, if you're in the forest, you don't see the trees. And I had a friend when my mother passed, and she came and said, "Oh, your parents, so nice, and your father in particular. I've never heard him say a mean thing about anybody." And then I thought, neither have I. Right? And that's sort of what I try to model myself towards. And full disclosure, don't always make it, but that, you know, that sort of deep, quiet kindness is what I've tried to emulate.
I think, you know, both of you talked about your fathers. I will also like to talk about my father, who's right now in Mumbai, and I can't imagine what he's going through as well. And unfortunately, because of the flight suspensions, I'm not able to travel at this point from Canada. But what he always brought to mind was this very masculine presence, this way of offering somebody comfort, his family, people that he knew, without any words or conversations sometimes, but just through his giving you his full attention, just this presence, this grounding energy. And that's a type of energy, that self, that I'd like to emulate more of as I step into my next level of manhood, and maybe in the future becoming a father. So thank you.
Well, I absolutely love that, and I would have gone with my dad, but now I'm gonna switch it up a little bit to my best friend Leandro, who inspires me because he, to me, is the person I've met that more than anybody else, unapologetically, is able to just be himself, even if there's habits and even there's things he does that might seem weird to other people. So he inspired me really to walk outside in the cold winter in Switzerland without shoes, without a shirt, just in shorts, to feel the cold. While everybody else is out there in their jackets and stuff, we'll go swimming in the cold river, right? We'll walk around and laugh and have fun. And he taught me that it's okay to be judged. It's okay for other people to look at you in a weird way if what you're doing is fulfilling to you, and if what you're doing is actually a positive thing that also makes other people better. And that's what I learned from him.
Oh my gosh, my heart is so full. And so before we do the final wrap up, I'll do my share. So growing up in a single parent household, a mostly single parent household, my uncle was this, he had this massive, quiet, friendly elephant energy. So, he would give this sense that he's running the ship, but we could be free as kids around him. We could be protected. And I see that a lot of people that are in my parents' generation and their parents' generation, they may have their own sort of association with which selves are most memorable for them and their men. But when I think about it, I know how difficult that can be when you're carrying the world on your shoulders. And still, when we text, I feel like a kid. I feel like uncle is spelled with a capital U. And I love him so much. So this has been so powerful. So before we hand the final word to Bridgit, if you can just please go around and let people know your website, where they can find you. And then, of course, we can't wait to continue this conversation and encourage everyone to watch, share with a man in your life, share with a woman in your life that wants to learn more about how to support the men in the world who are out there trying to do the work and trying to do better. So please, Tyrone, over to you. Where can people find you? How can we get down with this Bikram life? Tell us.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Tyrone Wherever. I'm on most of the social platforms, Tyrone Wherever. And yeah, just look me up, Tyrone Russell. You'll find me.
Awesome. Yeah, same here. You can find me on my website or all social media pretty much under Max Weigand.
Awesome. So you can find me on my website. It's My Seven Chakras. And it's a podcast as well. So you can find the podcast wherever podcasts are listened to, Instagram as well. And if you would like to learn about breathwork, I've got a free course. So my7chakras.com/free breathwork course. It's just an opportunity to learn more about this fascinating practice of breathwork. So that's available as well on my website.
Thank you. And I'll just say, I can't thank you all enough for today. I'm just buzzing with excitement, but also I learned so much. And for people who are watching this, I hope that you take away that you can induct selves that you're not in touch with right now. And hopefully listening to Max and AJ and Tyrone and Kashana and my talk, that this gives you permission. And yeah, talk about a shield, like the self that says, I don't care that you're looking at me weird. I just would love for you, as you listen to this, whoever you are, practice, induct yourselves, see what else is in you that you had no idea.
I love that. And for those watching, where books are sold, you can get The Final Eighth, Enlist Your Inner Selves to Accomplish Your Goals. If you want to learn a little bit more about the selves, you can join Bridget on the 8th of every month at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time for The Final Eighth at 8. And of course, on every third Thursday, you can join her free voice dialogue learning lab, which is co-piloted by Eric Potempa. And there are master classes coming up this fall that you won't want to miss. So Bridget, tell them what website they can find you on, and we will wrap it up and make funny faces together and say goodbye.
We also have to know where we can find you. Don't forget that. But I'll let you end with that. Kind of like Tyrone, I'm everywhere. And my name is spelt so distinctly that you can just put one in if you don't remember the others, and it'll come up. So I'm everywhere on social media, final8th.com, nyvoicedialogue.com. And the 8 at 8 is Instagram live. And yeah, come to every third Thursday at 8 p.m. and pass the word. We just did one this week where we show literal voice dialogue, where you get to visit oneself, come back to center, and visit another. And this morning I got an email from a participant. It's absolutely free, that she had a huge breakthrough. She wrote 10 pages in her journal and discovered a self she thought she had dealt with, AKA was not online anymore, was actually in control of her life in a way she hadn't realized. And she got that just by watching the third Thursday. So it's so powerful. Pass the word.
Absolutely. So you can find me at, Final 8th at 8 with Bridget, and you can find me at Third Thursday Voice Dialogue Learning Lab. So stay tuned for that. That's where you find me. Otherwise, you can visit kissinglions.com. Oh my God.